الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ثم أما بعد. Inshallah, today, my dear brothers, we will be answering some questions that I have received and I have not got a chance to answer them before Ramadan. So, if you have any question, you can ask yourself straight away. Otherwise, I'll read from the question that I have received, inshallah. Okay? Uh, Someone is asking our sister, obviously, what do we do with accumulated oat fast due to the pregnancy and childbirth? So, someone who is pregnant or is breastfeeding, the scholars disagree actually on whether they should make up the fast or pay the fidya and not make up the fast, or another bizarre opinion says that they should do both, make up the fast and pay the fidya. If we look at the opinions, every opinion obviously has their own evidence or their own proof or their own analysis. But let's consider it from this angle. If you look at those who fast, brother, and those who have to make the fast up, and those who don't, or those who pay the fee, you will find that the rule governing them is if someone is got a permanent excuse. For example, they are too old to fast, or they have a permanent disease that will not allow them to fast. Okay? In this case, these type of people, they will be requested to pay the fidya because there is no hope in the future or in the foreseen future that they would be able to make up the fast. So the only way is to pay the fidya. Someone with chronic diabetes, for example, or high blood pressure, or anything that if they do, they will simply not lose that type of disease. And if they stop the fast or they make fasting, they will be in big trouble. So these are commanded to pay the fidya and they're not commanded to make up the fast. The second type of people, like those who are traveling or those who are temporarily sick, they are asked to fast or to pay the fidya. Any answer?
If they can fast and make up, then they should obviously not pay the fidya.
Exactly. So the point is, if they can fast at a later date, then they should make up the fast. They cannot pay the fidya. If they cannot, because of the chronic disease or their permanent excuse like old age, they can never go back young again. Okay. So what to do? This to pay the fidya. So if we look at a woman who is breastfeeding or who is pregnant, does she have a permanent excuse or a temporary excuse?
Temporary.
Temporary. So which rule applies to her?
She should actually make up the fast when she can.
Exactly. That is my point. Okay. I don't think there is a woman at the moment who can keep for 15, 20 years being pregnant and breastfeeding. Yeah, there's a few cultures where they have a lot of children in one go, but what maximum can they go? 6, 7 years? Okay. This is not a permanent excuse. And also, actually, she can carry on fasting while she is pregnant or breastfeeding. Maybe nowadays the day is quite too long, but she can manage during the winter time. So the winter time, the day is very short. You can have 10 hours or 8 hours of fasting. Day is very short. So Maghrib is at 4 o'clock and Fajr is around 7 o'clock or 6:30. So very short day. She can fast during these days. Okay. If she cannot manage it all, then whenever she has. So she will spend 2, 3 years, for example, pregnant and breastfeeding. Okay. So that 3 months she can fast them normally after she finishes that. So that is the opinion I'm choosing, that she needs to make up the fast. She cannot pay the fidya, even though there is another opinion that says she can pay the fidya, and this is the opinion of Ibn Abbas actually. However, she can manage by either waiting until she finishes this and then she makes up whatever 2, 3 years she missed, she can make them up, inshallah. Or she can fast during the winter days where the days are short. Or obviously the child will be simply weaned at some time. And it is not as hard to fast when you are breastfeeding as it when you're pregnant. So only Allah knows your condition. Some ladies who are pregnant or who are breastfeeding, they find it okay to fast. Yeah, a little bit more difficult than normal because obviously a human being inside her, and rather than feeding herself alone, she's feeding another human being. So the point is, if she can manage, then she should fast, make up the fast. If she couldn't manage, then she should wait until she restore her normal condition, and then she can manage. She can fast Mondays and Thursdays as well, 2 days a week. She can manage, and she will have a reward of making up the fast and a reward of voluntary fasting as well, inshallah. That is the case as far as I see proper or valid. Also, someone is asking, I'm Egyptian, please ask the Imam if I can send zakatul fitr to the poor Egyptians instead of donations to the mosque because they are suffering a lot. So it doesn't matter the Egyptians or the Bengalis. The point is you can send the zakah to your home country. Yes, some people think that they have to pay zakat al-fitr to the mosque. That's wrong. Mosques, while they can collect zakat al-fitr, but they are no more than intermediaries between you and the beneficiaries. The mosque cannot hold zakat al-fitr to use for its own expenses or for expansion or for the carpet, for example, or for paying the bills. The zakat al-fitr must be paid in food, or according to some scholars, in money, to those who are needy, the poor. So if if the mosque collects it, then it has to give it to the poor and the needy. So some mosques give money, the fitrana money, even though they never give money otherwise. Not because they are generous, but because they cannot hold it. So if you don't give it to the mosque, obviously, what is more important, if you can act to yourself on your zakah or fitrana money, why go to some intermediaries? I know some poor people in my area. I go and give them the money. Why I go to the mosque, for example? That's one thing. The second point, brother, is do I have to give it to the people in my area, or can I give it abroad? The correct opinion is you give it to the people of your area, because if you have needy people in your area, you shouldn't be looking elsewhere. Even if there are more needy people elsewhere. However, like we live in the UK, and it is difficult, most of us, if not all of us, can hardly find anyone who is eligible for Zakat al-Fitr. Because even those who are most miserable, there are some people, but we're not aware of them. Also, they are not as many, or they are not sufficient, even if they have some tens of cases here. Okay, you cannot ask 3 million Muslims here to give a few people whom you know. So because the need here is not the greatest, and also the number of those who deserve it are not plenty, then you are allowed to move it to another country when the need is the greatest. And because the main reason here is not because the need is greater there, even though this is a good reason, but also because you don't have, or you don't know someone who is really needy for this in your area. So in this case, you can send it abroad. That's why I said, can I send it in money or in food? The sunnah is in food, and the Prophet and his companions gave it in food. So what is the food? It's called sa' of the most common food of the country in which you live. So if the most common food in Bangladesh, for example, is rice, so you give us what is sa' is almost 3 kilograms, 2.75 kilograms. So if we look here, if we want to give it, how much is a kilogram of rice here? If you want a nice, good quality rice, 150, for example, 170. If you want to buy 1 kg of rice,
My wife will only know that.
your wife, but you pay. Anyhow, so yeah, I would say 1 kg of rice will be between 150 and 170. Okay, so if you say 3 kg multiplied by 170, that will be around 5 kilograms. Sorry, 5 pounds. So some scholars say you have to give it in food only. It's not valid if you give it in money. But many scholars nowadays say you can give it money because the money is more beneficial. They can buy rice, they can buy anything else. Okay, so yes, you can give your zakat al-fitr to people who are not in your area, but only if there is no enough people in your area, or if you don't know anybody in your area who is really needy. Okay, that's first thing. Second thing is you can donate it in food, which is a sunnah, or in money as well. according to many scholars at the moment. And there is another question related to this, brothers, which is actually, what time am I allowed to give zakat al-fitr? Anybody?
Sorry?
What is the time frame for giving zakat al-fitr?
Before, well before
Before Eid Salah.
Eid Salah. So
Yes.
basically,
If you are going to Eid Salah and you know there are many poor people in your area, you go and knock their door and give them the money. That is easy, yes? And this is the ideal practice. But now you're sending it to Bangladesh or to Pakistan or to Egypt. Okay, obviously you cannot give it on the same day of Eid because it will arrive many days later. So can I pay it earlier then? Yeah, so actually there is an opinion that says the earliest you can pay it is 2 days before Eid. It's 2 days before Eid, because the Sahaba used to pay it just before Eid or the last day of Ramadan or the second to last day of Ramadan, within this time frame. Okay, but this is right, yes, I would say yes, I would stick to this opinion, yes, if you are giving it hand in hand to the poor. I would say don't pay it earlier than 2 days before Eid. But now most of us pay it to mosques or to charities, and these charities send this money abroad. This needs a lot of time, brothers, to know how much to buy the food, to pack it, and to distribute it to very distant mountain areas like in Kashmir and in Yemen, for example. I'm involved in this personally, and it does need a minimum of 1 week to 10 days to have the whole process. So it is okay because of this logistic need to pay them earlier, but the charities also should distribute this money as close as possible. Let's say in the last 10 days of Ramadan to keep it. The point is to make the poor the poor rich, not rich in the sense they have plenty of money, means they have what they need just before Eid on the day of Eid. And if this is the purpose and is achieved, you go and give them 1 week before Ramadan, before the Eid, that's fine, inshallah. Well, but the original rule is, again, if you're giving it to a poor family in your area that you know, which is the ideal practice, then you go and give it the day of Eid or 1 or 2 days before. But if you have given it before Eid, in the beginning of Ramadan or in the middle of Ramadan, do you have to pay it again? No, you don't have to. Okay, because again of the logistic need. But if you're giving it to someone in his hand, then make sure you pay this in the last 2 days of Ramadan or just before the Eid prayer. What? Some brothers contacted me and say, brother, sorry, I forgot to pay my fitran. I said, because you don't read my messages. I sent 100 messages on the fitran. Okay, so what you do now? That's after Eid, obviously. They have to pay still. But unfortunately, the Prophet says, if you pay it after Eid prayer, it is no longer zakatul fitr, and it will be considered as normal sadaqah. So you have to pay it to get rid of the sin, but you'll still be sinful for not. So when you receive so many messages, or when you're reminded, okay, I'll do it later, until you forget. No, you need to, this is a debt on you. You need to pay it as soon as you can. Is it clear, inshallah?
inshallah.
Let's move to another question. Do any of the brothers here have a question? Okay, we'll move to another question, inshallah. How can, yes, someone is asking, I have a property that is offered at rent, for rent, means it's being rented, okay? So, do I have, the property is worth, let's say, $500,000, and he owns it, okay? But he is renting it out for £24,000 a year. So how much is the value of the property?
$500,000.
How much is the rent he's getting from it?
24,000.
24,000. How much zakat does he have to pay?
For the rental income.
Yes, the question is, does he have to pay zakat on the whole value of the property, or just on the rent coming from it? Or on the rent coming from it? Any clues?
Well, if I can remember, when I spoke to you a different issue, you said for the property you don't have to pay, but the rental income you have to pay. If I'm right.
Yes. Any other opinions, brothers? Actually, it depends on the intention. It depends on your own intention. You can fool people, but you cannot fool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This property that you own and you're offering for rent, are you buying it to wait for some, because it was recession and the property was cheap, and then you want to wait 1 or 2 years and sell it to make some profit? And during this 1 or 2 years, you're offering it for rent? Or you just buying it so you can have steady income from the rent? You have no intention, at least at the time being, for selling it in the future. If the first scenario where you are having the property to sell it at a higher rate later, then it is a commodity. And you have to pay zakah both on the value of the property as well as on the rent you get from it. So at the end of the financial year, you add 500,000 and 24,000, deduct any expenses, let's say 4,000 expenses, you have 500,000 and 20,000, and you pay 2.5 on the total value plus the rent. But now this property, you bought it because you wanted to stay in it for your own use, but you had to move to another job elsewhere and say, okay, I rent over there and I will keep this for later. I don't want to pay it now. I just want to rent it out. Or you have much money and you say, what am I going to do with this money in the bank? Let me buy a property, and the money coming from it will be sufficient, inshallah, to cover my children expenses and other things in addition to my job. So your intention now is purely to rent it out. You don't have any plans for the time being to sell it or to make profit out of the property itself. In this case, you pay only on the rent. 24,000 pound, you deduct your whatever expenses you made, like the service charge or whatever. Let's say you spend 2,000 pound on expenses, then you are left with 22,000 pound a year net rent. So you calculate, you pay 2.5%, 25 pounds for each 1,000. Okay? It is clear, brothers?
Basically, it's pure on intention, right? Just on
It's purely an intention. Again, some people, like for example, I know some brothers, they go and buy properties with a poor condition, they renovate them, okay, and they rent them out for a few months, 6 months, 1 year, and then they sell them out to get some good profit. These brothers have to pay the entire zakah on post the value of the property and the rent coming out from it, because it's a business. It's like as if they have used the money, 500,000, to buy some business, to buy for example a shop or a store, okay, mini market, for example. You have to, at the end of the year, you have to evaluate the entire value of the commodities you have, and you have to pay zakah on the entire value, because the commodities are actually money that you have, you turn it into goods. So you have to pay on the profit plus the value of the goods that have not yet been sold. So exactly when you buy a house, okay, with the intention of just renovating it, renting it out for 1 or 2 years, and then selling it. As long as this is your intention and you keep it as your intention, then you have to pay the entire value. I bought a flat and my intention was actually to sell it at a profit. And then after a while, I said there is a recession and actually the rent is really good. So I changed my intention completely from selling the flat, and I made my intention only to rent it out and get some rent from it. In this case, even though initially I had to pay the whole value of the property, now because my intention has changed to rent it out only and not sell it, at least in the foreseen future, then I have to pay only on the rent. So with the change of intention, the change on what you need to pay happen. Is that clear? But you cannot be dodgy in your intention. Say, yes, I know I'm going to sell it soon, but let's change my intention for these 2 years. No, you cannot fool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? It is clear?
Can
Yeah.
Sorry, Sheikh. Just to clarify, obviously, other than the home that you live in, if you have a second or third property, you know, you're, alhamdulillah, you're wealthy enough to buy it and rent it out. Now that money really is in excess of your needs. So surely
Yes.
it's the whole amount of the property plus the rent that you're getting from it, because it's in excess of your needs. I mean, it's an investment like any other investment.
Yes, brother, but that is an excessive your need. But if you're using it to generate income with the rent, the scholars say actually you need to pay is on the rent only, because you're buying this property with the intention of rent. This is a concession given. Okay, I know this money is in excessive your need, but this is how it works. It's a concession from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, but all lies with intention. Someone has two houses, for example, one here and one in Brighton, because he needs to go and spend the summer over there. Obviously, the one in Brighton, he's not renting it out. He doesn't want to sell it out. He was as a holiday vacation home. So actually, the one in Brighton is in excess of his needs. Yes, because he can go just and stay there. He stays there 1 or 2 weeks a year. He can hire a flat, or he can go to out it. But still, he doesn't have to pay any zakat on the home in Brighton, because it's for personal use. If you have two cars, okay, one used for racing and one used for normal local, okay, as long as for personal use, there is no zakat. So it's all based on the intention. But obviously, if you want to pay the whole zakat on the whole value of the property, that would be mashallah nice. It's all in the benefit of the poor. Nobody will stop you. But I'm saying what you have to do. What is the minimum? Okay. Any more questions, brother Raj, brother Nadeem? No. Khalas. Let's stop here, inshallah, and we'll carry on Wednesday, inshallah. I hope I send reminder on Wednesday, inshallah, so we can have more people. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Remember, brothers, today, sorry, I forgot to say, fasting and Mondays and Thursdays, as I spoke on Friday, also is coming soon, inshallah, the 3 middle days of the month. And this will, just let me find the message. Actually, I will send you a message, inshallah, with this. It's Monday. Today, obviously, is recommended to fast. Today is the 9th of Shawwal. Then you have Thursday, next Thursday, 12th of Shawwal. Okay? So again, another day recommended to fast, which is Thursday. Also, you got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. These are the 3 middle days of the month. Okay? And then you got Monday, a recommended day to fast. So if you fast from Thursday to Monday, that will be recommended fasting. Thursday and Monday is recommended weekly fasting, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 3 middle days of the month. And inshallah, that will give you 5 days, and if you fast another day, that will complete the 6 days of Shawwal, inshallah. So you got 2 rewards for fasting Sunnah and fasting the 6 days of Shawwal, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay, Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.